G'day there guys, Markee here, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for lying to my kids about who their grandmother is? Lying is in quotes because it is not the word that I would use, but it is how my daughter views it. My wife and I have two amazing kids. Kelsey is 15 and Jace is 13. About 18 years ago, my wife and my mother got into a huge fight. It got vicious to the point there was no coming back from it. My mother pretty much said to my face that she hated my wife more than she loved me, and she wanted nothing to do with us, and if she ever met our future kids, they better call her by her first name. We consider ourselves no contact with her, but at the same time, if there is a family event that we want to attend, we do. My mum isn't the type to start drama at all, and she is very stubborn, so if she says you are dead to her, you are dead to her. My kids are close to certain family members, and when my mum comes to family stuff, she hangs out with people she is close to, and there is no overlap, since our fight caused a pretty big rift. Certain people don't talk to me. Certain people don't talk to her, and we have never had an issue. My kids know her first name, but just never thought much of her. Kelsey is an amazingly talented artist and wants to pursue it as a career. My mum is a professional artist, so maybe it is genetic, but Kelsey was recently talking about art schools and her future, and a family member mentioned that Evelyn, the only name she knows my mum by, went to one of the best art schools in the country and did a semester in France, and Kelsey should talk to her. Kelsey said that sounds really cool, but she has never talked to Evelyn before, and it would be awkward. This family member, not someone either of us are close to, is like, wait, but you know she's your grandmother, right? Kelsey immediately looked to me, and I confirmed that is their grandmother. When we got home, I explained everything to Kelsey and Jace, and told them that she is their grandmother, that another relative they vaguely know as my bio sister, and I gave them more details about the falling out. Kelsey accused me of lying to her, and said that she should have been given the option to know my mum. I explained there is no real way to go about that, because we certainly were not going to hand over our young children to a woman we were not on speaking terms with, and neither party was willing to be around the other one. Kelsey has since looked my mum and sister up online. Now, I know this sounds kind of bad, but my mum's life looks pretty cool from the outside. Her and my stepdad have money, travel a lot, and she has Kelsey's dream job. So now Kelsey feels like she could have a great relationship, and Jace made some comments about how she looks fun and would have been a fun grandmother. Kelsey thinks I'm the asshole for lying. I feel I didn't really lie, it just didn't come up. Now in the comments, info. The kids never asked why they didn't have any grandparents on your side? They knew she didn't talk to me due to a fight, and that she hated their mother. They just didn't realize that woman they occasionally saw at parties was my mum. This is an extremely important detail that takes me from you're the asshole to not the asshole. So long as you didn't refuse to tell them her identity at some point, them knowing she's alive but no contact means you gave them all the information they'd need to ask any questions they'd want if they were really interested. Not the asshole. Your mother flat out told you she wanted nothing to do with you or your kids. She has met them, she could have discussed having a relationship with them with you at any time. She obviously hasn't changed her mind, and I do feel bad for your kids though. They got the short end of the stick all the way around. You were just protecting them. Not the asshole. Sit your daughter down and explain to her that your mum was the one who didn't want contact anymore. She was the one who said she didn't want to have a proper relationship with her grandchildren, not you. If your daughter still sides with her grandmother, then maybe you should let her stay over for a week and revel in the rejection. This part. Kids need to sit down with a counselor and understand how a grandma can show up to parties for years and not give a flying F that her grandkids are there. Like, did she not sit and think, wow, my grandma was there the whole time? Wait, why didn't she even say hi to us, ever? Info. What happened between your mum and wife? They never really liked each other. Then my mum wanted to bring a +1 to the wedding. My wife said no, and the worst part is the man my mum wanted to bring, her now husband, was already invited. My mum demanded a +1. My wife said no. My mum refused to speak to me for weeks, and finally they ended up in the same room and screamed at each other for over an hour. Multiple people tried to defuse it, but neither of them could be reasoned with. They both said awful things to the point of no return. They both went really low. After that night, my grandfather never spoke to me again. My father-in-law lost his best friend, and my mum and sister weren't at my wedding. All of this happened over a +1 who was already invited to the wedding? Wow, your mum and wife is something else. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for refusing to disclose how much I make to my boyfriend? My boyfriend and I have been dating almost a year, and he doesn't know how much I make. I've been taken advantage of financially by boyfriends in the past, so I keep what I make and signs of any wealth out of sight. I don't have a lot of obvious expensive things, but my bags and clothes are expensive niche brands, and I have a lot of toys like an RV, spider bike, and some other things. He hasn't caught on to the fact that they are mine since I usually leave them at my parents' place since they use the RV more. He isn't wealthy, and he's told me he makes around $60K, and I don't feel like letting him know what I make. I pay for most of our dates, but I usually split it, and we never go anywhere fancy. He's been annoyed that I will never discuss money with him or really what I do for work. I tell him I work in tech, which he feels like isn't enough. I'm still trying to decide whether I should trust him with any more details around what I make, since money immediately changes a lot of people's behavior. He has gotten mad over this, as he has been trying to get me to disclose what I make and exactly what I do. Now in the comments, you've been dating for a year and he doesn't know what you do? Maybe he suspects something underworldly. Set the man's mind at ease. If you can't trust him after a year, aren't you wasting both your and his time? And if he changes once he knows, then maybe you waited too long to disclose. You're the asshole. We all spend such a huge amount of time at work, it's literally a part of us. Many people spend most of their time at work, not including sleeping. I can't imagine never telling my partner how work was and what happened, or what I'm doing in general. You've been dating long enough that he should at least know what you do. You are hiding a lot from him, which is a form of dishonesty. And honestly, since it's been almost a year, you should either trust him enough to tell him what you make or break it off. I'd say softly, you're the asshole. I'm waiting for a post from him saying, I suspect my girlfriend is a hitman or a drug cartel boss. She has money to throw but hides it from me and shies away from discussing anything about her work or wealth. You're the asshole. Not even being able to confide and talk to someone who supposedly cares about you, about what you do for a living, sends up red flags. Knowing what your partner does for a living is part of the foundation of trust couples use for a relationship. He can go one of two ways, either be a gold digger or not care, but it's all about trust. He's obviously okay with what he earns, and if he isn't emasculated by whatever it is you do, why worry? So why take out what is previous experiences and trauma on someone after you've dated them for a year? You should probably get some professional help. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for causing my subordinates to get divorced? On Navy ships, there are separate quarters where they sleep and head restroom facilities for each gender. If you were of the opposite sex in the wrong place, there were consequences, and they were not pretty. The Navy takes that very seriously, especially when it comes to sexual relations with each other. A reactor mechanical guy and a reactor electrical girl were caught having sex in a storeroom by security. They are married, but not to each other. I did not appreciate this kind of behavior. I reduced them both to the next inferior pay grade and took an additional amount of money away from each for 2 months for the offense. I ordered them to call their spouses to tell them why they were not going to be getting the amount of money they would have been expecting and why that was the case. So yeah, was I the asshole? Because those people are quite pissed that they lost their rank and got divorced. Some people in my personal life told me that I took this too far and I shouldn't have gotten involved. Now in the comments, I bet their spouses appreciated knowing, not the asshole. As a military spouse who gives her husband a wide berth of trust, love, and respect, thank you for doing this, OP. Being in this life requires a lot of sacrifice, trust, and time spent away from friends and family. To have those sacrifices mean nothing by those under your command, it's what they deserve, to be honest, with their spouses. The spouses may not know it, but you gave them a great gift. Yeah, as a veteran, I agree. I just wish our spouses were so honest about getting with Jody back home while we're deployed. Not the asshole. You didn't cause anything. The people cheating on their spouses were the cause of all their own woes. They got off light. Adultery in the military is a crime that is punishable by dishonorable discharge and confinement. Anyone saying you're the asshole has never had dealings with the expectations of a military career. Morality and ethics are part of the job. People have been booted for far less. Deceptions and lying reflect on the individual, and these are trusted professionals. Not the asshole in this line of work. Not the asshole. Military vessel, military rules, military discipline. That's all anyone needs to know. Although why you felt we civilians would be able to judge you fairly, I have no idea. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for ditching my girlfriend for one night while away on holiday? So my partner and I are going to my hometown just after Christmas. Her family is all in Japan. We are spending 2 weeks, of which most will be spent with my family, and a few days of us exploring by ourselves. My high school friends want to make plans to catch up and get an Airbnb and spend the night playing games, etc. I asked my girlfriend if she minds if I don't bring her along, as none of my other friends are bringing their partners, and it changes the dynamic somewhat. English isn't her first language, so a lot of the games that we'd like to play would be too difficult for her. I gave her the option that she could stay with my family, whom she has met before, or she could stay with my high school friend's girlfriend, whom we have stayed with before and we will probably stay with for one night again. She blew up, now saying she isn't coming on the trip anymore, etc., etc. I then offer to instead fly to my hometown a couple days earlier than originally planned, and catch up with my friends, and then I'll pick her up from the airport. This too is not an option apparently, and she maintains she is no longer coming on the trip, which, by the way, I paid for half of the flight. Am I the asshole? Now in the comments, you're the asshole. Why would you want to bring your girlfriend on a trip where she knows no one well and is partially isolated by language and then ditch her for the night? If the games you want to play wouldn't be good for her, the inclusive thing to do would be to play different games. OP also offered to go before her so he wouldn't need to ditch her for a night, but that wasn't acceptable either. He gave her a lot of options, and she shot them all down, so how is he an asshole? It's not even about the games. He offered to change the plans after it became clear she was upset. That would have been a better suggestion had he come up with it first. Ultimately, from now on, whatever the scenario is, it's going to seem like OP wants to exclude his girlfriend from hanging out with his friends. If it's not about the games, then why are they playing games that she can't? Yeah, you're the asshole. I mean, it was decent of you to offer to change the plans, but you didn't think this through very well. There's a huge difference between you and her staying at a friend's home versus her on her own doing it while you were bonding with the homies. Add to this that English is not her first language. If she has a hard time playing games when her boyfriend is there, she may certainly feel uncomfortable interacting with people she doesn't know very well without him there. Not the asshole by a long, long mile. You have given her advanced notice, made several alternate arrangements and accommodations for her, and are clearly open to communication and compromise. She's behaving like a child who can't be left alone for one single night out of 2 weeks for a meaningful and rare bonding experience with your childhood friends. By saying she simply won't come on the trip instead of discussing other solutions and options, she is being quite manipulative. Please think about whether you want to be together with such a my way or the highway person, especially if this is very common behavior for her, and if she's not explaining why she feels this way. For example, if she feels anxious because she feels she can't communicate well enough on her own due to language difficulties, etc. I hear what you were saying, but what we are missing from OP's post is context of time. If this discussion happened last night, I don't think it's fair to interpret the girlfriend as not communicating. Sometimes in a discussion it's hard to verbalize why we are upset by what's been presented. This is exasperated with language barriers. If this conversation just happened, I don't think it's unreasonable of her to need time to collect her thoughts to be able to articulate the whys behind her opposition to the proposal. We all know this sub is very slanted with its storytelling. While OP may have taken the time to nicely write out his plan here in the post, he could have originally presented it in a sloppy and careless way, leading to an emotional reaction. Doesn't mean their relationship is doomed, or that she is irrational. Just that they both need to communicate better. Just my take. Now back up to the post, there is an edit. This blew up a bit. I feel like majority is saying I'm the asshole, but there is a strong minority who disagree, so I'm glad that it's not clear-cut. To address some recurring themes, 1. She does speak English. We live in Australia, and she has worked and lived here for over 5 years. I just meant she struggles to understand new games, and in general, has no interest in any sort of intellectual game. 2. I would happily put her up in a private Airbnb or similar if she wanted. I didn't offer it because I'm pretty sure that she wouldn't want that either, but when we discuss it next, I will make sure that she knows that option is available. And 3, I mentioned in one comment thread that I think part of it is she's worried about why I don't want her there. She asked if we are going to get strippers, but I feel like she knows that's ridiculous. Anyway, my plan is to have another talk with her about it. I will present the solo accommodation option as well, and if she won't concede to any of it, then I guess I'll just have to bring her along, and take mental note of how uncompromising she can be. Thank you for all of your replies. I will read them all. Our post is titled, Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend that if he likes his ex's food, then he should move back in with her? Basically, as the title says, today I, 26 female, was cooking fish and fries for me and my boyfriend, 30 male, and when the fish was done, he asked me if I had used curry on it. I said that I didn't, and he said that fish tastes better like that. And he asked if I remembered when one of his friend's wives cooked for us and how good it was. I said yes, and he said, well, she uses curry on it. That's how ex-wife makes it too, and it's really good. I told him, oh, well, next time then I will text her to ask her. I am the one cooking, and I'll cook however I want. If you like her food so much, you should move back in with her then. He was upset and called me dramatic. I told him I just didn't understand why he was mentioning her. A couple of days ago, they have kids, so they talk. I was cooking, and he kept giving me some sort of directions. You should add this, and you should add that. I told him that I would make it my way, and well, I saw that he was asking his ex-wife for directions on my meal, and he didn't even say that I was the one cooking. He said he was making it, and for her to explain to him the recipe. He would constantly tell me how most of the time she wouldn't even cook for him, and how he would have to fend for himself. I have asked him many times if he doesn't like something to tell me, and I'll see if I can change it or he can do it himself. I was supposed to bake some cookies after dinner, and I told him, do you want me to call your ex-wife so she can tell me how to bake those too? I am genuinely upset, and I walked away from the house for a while. I was talking to my friends, and even though they agree that what he did was rude and unnecessary, so was my comment. He didn't even apologize. He just said that I overreacted. I don't think I did, but now I'm not so sure. Am I the asshole? Now in the comments, not the asshole. Stop cooking for him. Since he's an expert on how things should be cooked, he can cook them. Also, if he's often critical, seriously consider whether this is how you want to spend the next year, or 5 years, or 10 years, or 40 years of your life. Info. Does he bring up his ex-wife often? And have you told him that it bothers you? And OP says, yes. Every story that he tells, he has to make a comparison to something he did to her. I bought him a shirt and some underwear since he didn't have any, and he told me that that wasn't the brand his ex-wife would get for him. But at the same time, he complains about how horrible she was. It has genuinely made me question if she was horrible, or was he like this too? Okay, next question. Why are you with him if he's not over his ex? OP replies, they had a very toxic relationship, and he has told me millions of times that if it wasn't for the kids, they wouldn't have any sort of contact. At the same time, I also think he still has some feelings for her. They dated from the ages of 14 or 15. This woman has been in his life longer than he was by himself. I try to be understanding, that's why he acts like that sometimes. Honey, you are not being understanding, you are being a doormat. Dump him. Not the asshole. Your title makes you sound childish, but after reading, your husband is the asshole for a few reasons. He keeps bringing up his ex to you, he keeps trying to micromanage your cooking, not writing down or looking up recipes he likes, and not doing the cooking his damn self if it means so much. Alright, and that's where I end today's episode, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed. If you do, leave a comment down below. Like if you like, dislike if you dislike, as always. And have a bloody good day, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.